Hello, I'm Pamela Davis. Welcome to episode 93 of the Well Done Life podcast. Hello, and welcome back to episode 93 of the Well Done Life podcast. I'm your host, Pamela Davis. If you are new here, hey, how are you? Welcome. I'm so glad that you could join us this week. If you've been here before, you guys are a regular, you're one of my lights, and I just want to say thank you for continuing to support me. You don't have to, and I really appreciate you every week for coming back. That makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside, so thank you. Before we get into this week's episode, I want to make sure that I set our foundation off right. I want to make sure that we are building this safe space in love and in clarity. So let's kind of dive into those things a little bit and make sure we put the right energy in the atmosphere. With clarity, I want to make sure you understand why you're here. That's really what the crust of it is. The Well Done Life podcast is a podcast that I created for women. Women are the foundation of society, and we need places where we can be our most authentic and vulnerable selves. I mean, let's talk about the good stuff, and let's talk about the bad stuff, and let's talk about the ugly stuff, because that's how we're going to heal. That's how we're going to connect. That's how we're going to grow and learn from each other. And I really want to make sure that we cultivate that type of energy here, because it's all about elevation, baby. And then my second aspect of this safe space is love. Love is so amazing. I just love love. And I want you to know that you are loved. And by having that knowledge, I want you to understand that I love you so that I pray for you every day. I pray for the world every day, because I think we have to have more people praying for each other in order for us to move through some of the craziness. So I like to make sure that I send you all prayers. So every week, it is very important to me that I make sure that you know that you are surrounded in prayers of peace, that you are surrounded in prayers of prosperity, that you are surrounded in prayers of love. I want you to feel love from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. I also want to send you prayers for good health. And I'm not just talking physical health, I'm talking mental health too, because that is so important. I mean, we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go a little further in, but that is so important right now, and Lord knows it gets tested so much, especially in seasons like this. So I want you to know that you are well received and loved and helped for good health mentally and physically. So those are some prayers that I want to send for you this week. So we're kind of getting started. It has definitely been a crazy day. It is actually Thursday, January the 13th at 10:28 p.m. I'm recording a little late this week because I've been busy and trying to balance it all. And so I wanted to make sure I sat down and got a good episode in, because it's important for consistency's sake, but it's important because I want to check in and see how you guys are doing. I mean, like I said, it's this season that we're in. It's crazy. And that kind of, I guess, goes into what I wanted to come and talk to you guys about this week. But it's funny, how are y'all doing? Like, if you were to sit and think about how you're doing, because we're 13 days in at this point that I'm recording, and by the time that you guys will hear this episode on Sunday, it will be, let me check, because I would love to say I know that date right off the top of my head, the 16th. Should have been easy to figure out, but not so much. 10:28 at night, y'all know I'm kind of washed. But anywho, so on the 16th, we're 16 days into the new year. How are you feeling? I mean, last week's episode 92, You've So Got This. We were talking about, starting the year off, and I was sharing with you guys my plans, and I'll talk to you about that and update you, because for consistency's sake, I want to make sure that I am totally transparent about how I am planning through the years, and it's going, but I want to see how you guys are doing. So I hope that you will take a moment, even though I cannot hear you, that to ask yourself, how are you doing? Because I think it's important that you check in. And like I said, we are 13 or 16 days into 2022, and I've already seen people talking about that they're exhausted already. I mean, I've seen that on social media a couple of times where people are just like, yeah, 2022 is already lifing and I'm already fed up. So I'm like, we need to take a moment to talk about how we're doing, because we're only 16 days in, y'all. We got a long way to go before we're at 2023. And I hope everybody's kind of pacing themselves as we're going through, because we are dealing with some things. I mean, let's go ahead and kind of clear the air with it, the Omicron virus and variant, excuse me. And it's been kind of running through the streets, wild. And we're all out here trying to be safe and trying to live and trying to move forward, even though it just makes you feel like it's just trying to pull you back in. It's funny, when I was thinking of writing show notes for the episode, it just instantly made me think of The Godfather, actually Godfather 3, where Michael Corleone was saying, just when I think I'm out, you pull me back in. And so I was like, yep, that's exactly how I feel right now with the Omicron variant, because I was just like, the cases are finally going down. We might be making a progress where we actually learn how to live with COVID in a way where it's just not running through the streets. But oh no, here goes good old Omicron right on time to let us know, I'm not done with you yet. I need a little bit more time. So for that, I was on my soapbox in episode 92. You guys know how I feel about everything, the masking, all those good things. Just be safe. Take care of your health. I think sometimes, we all want to get caught up on mild viruses, mild sickness, all these things. Just take care of yourself, because I know health is wealth. I don't care how you slice it, it is wealth. And when you're feeling good, it is conducive to your mental health. When you're feeling sick, it's not conducive to your mental health. And so if you got this and you're going through all the other things that are happening with life at the same time, it can be very overwhelming. So try to be careful, take care of yourself. And then along that line, make sure that you are checking in with your mental health and taking care of yourself, because life is lifing, and 2022 is lifing along just along with it. But so like I said, yeah, I wanted to check in. And in episode 92, You've So Got This, like I said, I laid the foundation. I know I kind of started talking about some of the things that I am doing for full transparency for 2023, and particularly Q1, because I have challenged myself to be more intentional with how I do my goals and the things or intentions of what I want to accomplish. And so I'm focusing on them on a quarterly basis, because I can't plan a year out this year. I don't have the kind of mindset for that. And plus, I feel like with everything that we have gone through in these past 2 years, if anything that we have learned, we have to be prepared to pivot. And so I feel like if I just deal with 3 months at a time, I can then see how I did with those 3 months and then make another plan for the next 3 months. And I can do the same thing for the next 3 months. And by the time I look up, a year will have passed. I'll still probably be in my right mind, and I might have accomplished some really cool things. So that's really the plan for me going into 2022. And like I said, I've already seen people talking about they're exhausted, because I think everyone is just kind of like overwhelmed by the goal process that they've set out for themselves, or that, they're just overwhelmed by everything going on in general. We've talked about the Omicron, but you also are dealing with, some folks are trying to find a job. Some people are leaving their jobs. Some people are just trying to figure out if I just want to own my own business, or I just don't want to work anymore. I think people are just in this phase right now where they're trying to figure it out. And at the same time, trying to buy groceries and just live. And it's a lot. It is a lot. And dealing with family and dealing with ourselves. So it's just like, I don't know if this is the right way to say it, but I guess it is kind of the point to say it. I think it's time that we all sat our butt down for a hot minute. And when I say sit your butt down, I mean, like, I think some of us need to take like a day or two off and sit down and process with our thoughts and ourselves, because we're moving at this a little bit, maybe too quickly, trying to eat the whole elephant at once and maybe not taking a bite, but we're overwhelming ourselves, and we don't want to do that when we're just so early in. And so I really wanted to talk about in this episode that I think it's time for us to take a beat and talk about grace and about accountability, because I think that if we don't give ourselves a little bit of grace going into this time that we're in, this year that we're in, there's going to be a lot of people who are just emotionally frazzled by the end of 2022. And when I say give yourself grace, I'm not talking about just totally forget about what you want to accomplish. By no means. Because I don't think that that's going to make you happy. That's not going to help you further your life the way that you want to. But I'm saying give yourself some grace enough to realize that it's okay to take breaks. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to take a day off work when you don't feel right. It's okay to just sit in your house when you have plans to go out with someone and make the decision to say, you know what? I don't want to go. I need to sit down because this is an opportunity for me to take a moment, take a breath for myself. And you know what? I'm going to do it. I feel like we just need to give ourselves the permission to say no. And we've had lots of conversations around no. And it's always something to me I feel like you do have to bring up, because I feel like, especially as women, we struggle with the words no. And we need to stop struggling with it. We need to learn how to own that. And I really do believe a lot of that goes back to boundaries and how we decide that we're going to do things and how we properly set our boundaries up and hold people accountable for that. And that's a deeper, darker discussion, and we'll tie a little bit into that. But I think the first and foremost thing to do is to decide that, you know what, I'm going to give myself some grace, and I'm going to say no when I feel like saying no, and I'm going to sit down when I feel like sitting down. And you know what, I'm going to be okay with that. I'm going to be okay if everything doesn't get done, because like I was telling you guys, I've set out my intentions for a quarter and I've been doing really good. I have to admit, I'm really proud of myself that I've been journaling and holding myself accountable to my daily intentions. But I feel like I'm holding myself accountable because I've already in my mind given myself grace to realize that if I don't get to it within a certain time period, it's okay. And don't get me wrong, I'm doing it every day, but I had to tell myself that it's okay if I don't get it done every day. And see, the reason I had to tell myself that is because I know that the way that my life is set up, I'm gonna get pulled in another direction. I mean, I think about today in the matter of, I've been up since, I think I got up like 6:30, lounged in the bed until about 6:45, 6:50, and then finally got dressed and got up. And then from then it was like go time, because I managed to get tea, take my mom to the doctor, take my sister to work, and come back home before about 10:30, so I could barrel into a whole litany of meetings, stop, pick up my sister, cook dinner and plan. And then now I'm sitting here podcasting after I had just answered emails, and I have other projects that I really need to do, but I know I'm not going to get it done. Really, my plan after I do this podcast is to journal and make sure I set my intentions for the next day. And then I'm going to bed because I need my rest. And I plan on doing that before 11:30. So if that gives you any indication, I've set my boundaries very clearly on how I want that to go. And I'm going to hold myself accountable to do that. But then at the same time, I'm also operating from a mindset that if I don't get it done, you know what? Everything done, it's going to be okay. And I had to really talk over myself about saying that if I don't get something done, it's going to be okay. Because I know from myself, I'm one of those people, I'm a self-reformed people pleaser, overworker, overthinker. And, like I told you guys in episode 91, there's a lot of things that I left in 2021 that I am not doing anymore. And one of those things, the first thing actually, as I pull up my phone to look at it, is overthinking. And then number two was not prioritizing my peace and health, was mental and physical. So I have made it an ingrained part of me that I'm giving myself naturally that grace, because by not overthinking, by prioritizing my mental and physical health, I am putting me first, and I am already naturally saying to myself that, you know what, if it doesn't get done, I'm not going to die. The world is not going to end, and it's going to be okay. And I don't need to try to twist myself into a pretzel in order to fit a specific timeline to get something done. It will be okay. And I think more of us need to do that, especially right now, because it is a new year. And with a new year, we're always so hopeful of change, and we're so hopeful of just all the things that could possibly be. And for people to already kind of be tired, like I said, 13, 16 days in, that's kind of troublesome, because we have so much further to go. So that's an indication that maybe how we're processing things, we might be putting a little bit too much weight on ourselves. And maybe it's time, like I said, to kind of sit our butts down and be quiet and reevaluate, refocus, and start thinking about doing the things that we want to do, and how we want to do them, and when we want to do them. Because we can do, and if you do that, it will help free you. But then at the same time, when you do that, you got to be accountable for following through. Because see, that's always the trick of it. We always sometimes sit down and say, oh, I'm going to just stop overthinking. I'm going to stop working myself up into a tizzy just to get 100 of tasks done so I can make everybody feel happy when I'm not happy. You have to hold yourself accountable for when you have made the decision to prioritize your time and not overthink. You have to hold yourself accountable for not falling back into old habits, because yes, it's a new year, new opportunities, but we're the same person, just we're in progress, we're working, we're evolving, and it is very easy to fall into old habits if we are not sitting down and holding ourselves accountable. And when I talk about holding ourselves accountable, like I said, for me, one of the things that I do is I have my list of 20 things that I have left in 2021 on my phone, and on my computer, because that's where I spend so much time. So it's funny, I found myself getting overworked, just kind of, overworked, over processing over some requests that had come over from work and from a client. And it was like they needed this information immediately. And I just found myself instantly being thrown off, because I was like, I set my calendar, I had my schedule of things that I needed to do. And for some reason, I just felt a little instantly wound up. And I had another meeting to go to. And then I had to stop and breathe, count to 5, and then I had to say to myself, remember, Pamela, you left overthinking and not prioritizing your time and your health in 2021. So why are you getting overworked by this one request? What's going to happen if this request has to wait? Why do you have to be on top of everything right then? Why can't you give yourself that time and that space to get to it when you can? It'll be okay. I literally did. I had to lower my voice and lower my energy and just think about what I wanted to focus on and how I wanted to get it done, and realize that I don't need to do everything within everyone else's time frames in order for me to be successful. And I had to talk myself down. And you know what I did? And I went on about my meeting, and I got back to it maybe within an hour and a half, 2 hours. And I sent it over and I moved on. And when I say I sent it over and moved on, I literally just said, okay, here's the information you need, da 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 da. Thanks so much. Old me would have been making excuses. Oh, I'm so sorry I didn't answer sooner, da 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 da. And I'm like, no, I had to hold myself accountable for giving myself the grace to be able to process this client's request within the time frames that were convenient for me, and I had to be okay with it, and I was okay, and the client was fine, and the world didn't end with me and greatness, and I moved on. And I was like, wow, when I don't overthink, it's amazing how life is not as complex as I make it. Let me say that again. When I don't overthink, it's amazing how life isn't as complex as I make it. And I know I can't be the only person who can relate to that. I know that there's got to be somebody else who can relate to that because, like I've said before, when you overthink, you tend to overreact. And that's typically where most of us are operating from. And so if you take a moment to just sit and breathe and just process and talk through to yourself. And now, when I talk through myself and I calm myself and I lower my voice, yes, I do speak out loud because sometimes I do talk to myself. And I'm like, hey, if I can't speak life over me, nobody can. But at the same time, I'm not saying that you have to. But if that's what you need to do in order for you to be able to receive grace, then do it. And if that's what you need to do to be able to hold yourself accountable to what you said that you wanted to do and how you wanted to move, then do it. Because sometimes you got to do things out of the box in order to get the result that you're looking for. Remember, this is a new year. And yes, you're still the same you and you're in progress, you're working, but you're trying new things. You're open and receptive to new ways of getting things done. So don't be afraid to speak over yourself. Remember, like I've told you guys before numerous times, one of my favorite things in the book Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert is that she was able to speak to her fear, to be able to control that. You should be able to speak to that fear that's inside of you and control that as well, because that's what's going to help you be able to move forward in peace. And that's always going to be the goal, because I don't want to see anybody else say they're already tired of 2022 and we're only 13 to 16 days in. And I know that that's probably wishful thinking. Believe me, we're all going to be tired, I think, in a lot of ways, probably by the end of 2022. But at the same time, I think it's a matter of maybe being tired is not the word for it. Maybe it's just you feel overwrought and you just haven't figured out how to balance it. And I just want to make sure that we're giving space where we are cultivating tools to balance it, because life is going to keep lifing, but we just have to be prepared to deal with life versus become a bystander of it or a victim of it. So I think that that's where you have to learn how to give yourself that grace and that accountability to taking care of you and prioritizing you. Because like I said, I don't feel like anybody should feel bad anymore about, changing plans the day of. If that doesn't work for you anymore, then you know what? Change your plans and sit in your house with your blanket and your Ben & Jerry's and just watch TV. If that works for you until you feel better, then okay, you got to do what you got to do. And if you have to, take time off, take time off. I don't see anything wrong with that. There's not like, okay, just because it's the first of the year. I had someone say that to me, like, well, the year just started and da-da-da. And I'm like, okay, but if you need to take a day to process your mental health and to help yourself feel better, I think you're worth it. And what other people think about you is really not your concern. It's a matter of what you think of you and what you need. And you have to prioritize that, because you can't be the best on your job when you're not being the best for yourself. You can't be the best at home for your family when you're not being the best for yourself. You are always the center of your success. And you have to be able to sit down and listen to what yourself is trying to tell you, because our body, our minds, our soul, our energy gives us signals when it's like, look, I need a break. You might not think you need a break, but you do need a break. And listen to yourself. Be in tune enough with yourself, because like I said, life is going to keep lifing. So you got to start to cultivate that knowledge of self so that you can give yourself the grace and accountability that you need. And it's so important and it's so easy, and it doesn't have to be painful. It's not like, don't beat yourself up just understand that, again, you're in progress. So when you're in progress, it takes repetition. This isn't a one time it's said or one time it's written kind of thing. It's a constant battle to stay accountable. Because like I was telling you guys, like just this week, I'm sitting here trying to not overthink and not get overwrought or overworked in my mind because of someone else's request. I have to stay in control of my emotions and give myself space that when I need a break, I need a break. Like, I mean, I'm really kind of excited that Monday, my office is closed for Martin Luther King Day. And obviously, Martin Luther King Day is a wonderful national holiday. And I hope to, we should be in service and just thinking about all the great things that this man was able to accomplish in order for equality in our country. But at the same time, I think Martin would be good if we took that day just to sit down, just to rest, because we've worked really hard to get to the positions that we are in, and we need rest. And I think Martin would be like, okay, it's okay, take a break. So I'm really relishing the fact that I'm gonna have a day off on Monday, and I don't know what I'm gonna do, if anything. And you know what? I'm going to be very grateful for that time, because that time is going to allow me to pour back to myself. Just make sure you are really appreciative of those times when you can pour back into yourself, when you can rest. You don't have to try to do everything all at once. Bite the elephant one chunk at a time. Don't try to eat the whole thing all at once. And if you are stressed out, like I said, start thinking about taking a day off. I had that conversation with someone today, as a matter of fact. I said, I really feel like you need to take a day or two off, because I think they're feeling stressed out, they said, with everything going on with the Omicron variant. And they're scared, and fear, it can just really mess with you. So I was like, oh, yeah, I think you should take a day or two, just so that you can sit down and process your emotions, and maybe kind of stop having to be out in the street for a little bit, and just kind of give yourself some time to process. And it'll be okay. Your work will understand. They will be fine. They can function without you. We can't function without you. And so I think about that for a lot of people. That's why I kind of feel like we have to be really empathetic as we're kind of going through these streets. I mean, you don't know what someone is battling and what their mindset is. So it's like, it's better to lead with empathy and grace versus trying to overreact. I mean, we have shortages and people are out sick, and so it's a lot going on. It's just better to be kind in these times, because again, you just don't know what someone else is facing, because they're stressed out just like you. It's just their stress looks totally different. So I think it's a matter of being very open to being empathetic right now. But that is a really big issue. There are a lot of people who have, depression around everything that's going on. So, because our lives have been forever changed right now. So please, make sure you're thinking about that along with what you're thinking about for yourself. And that could be something that you're going through. There's no problem. There's no reason not to acknowledge that. There's no reason not to give yourself that grace as you were moving through. I mean, we all didn't expect it would be this fast sweeping and kind of going through the way that it is. So it's just, again, having to pivot. And sometimes when you're not prepared to pivot, it's like shock, because now all of a sudden the plan is not the plan that you thought it was. And now you're dealing with all the madness that goes along, and it is tiring and it is overwhelming. But make sure that you are setting up practices to help you be able to find the grace that you need to navigate through. And as you are being accountable, like I said, you check in and you make sure you have those goals and your intentions, and you're making sure you're navigating through. Don't forget to celebrate the successes while you're holding yourself accountable. Whatever little thing that you're able to accomplish on your goal sheets, be really excited about them. Every win is a win. And I don't care how small it is, because even the smallest moments can make us the happiest. Make sure you're giving yourself a pat on the back. That's one thing I do like about journaling and doing my daily intentions. It really allows me to see the things that I accomplish every day. And it's like, wow, I was able to get this done, and I was focused, and it just makes me feel good. I think we should give more opportunity for those. Recognize what you do every day, because everything that you are doing that's along this path to making you the best person that you are is something worth celebrating. Don't forget those moments. So, even in the smallest things every day, find something that you are proud of, and recognize that, and be grateful that you were able to accomplish it. Let those things act like a battery in your back and propel you as you move forward, because that's what's going to help you stay motivated and encouraged, especially as the journey gets a little difficult sometimes. So, don't forget about those things. And I mean, we talked a lot today about grace and taking time off and sitting our butts down, and celebrating the mini successes, because those mini successes really do help put the battery in your back to keep you going. Just make sure you stand proud in what you've accomplished too. Like I said, you want to celebrate the successes, but don't try to, share those successes with people that you love, who support what you're trying to do, your growth journey. Don't forget that you're not on this island by yourself. There's people around you who really want to support you and be inspired by you and encourage you. Don't forget to tap into those people too. It's not that all of our friends are on social media. We have some really great people in our lives every day who love and support and encourage and are inspired by you or inspire you. Share your journeys, share your wins. And if you're feeling down and you need someone to talk to, give space to that too, Do a little check-in. Sometimes my friends and I, we do like a little text, check in. And I have one friend, Kathleen, she's very consistent about constantly wishing me and my other friend, Katie, like really good, positive thoughts every day or every other day. Like, ladies, I was just thinking about you guys and I want you to have an amazing day. And I love that, because that's just so sweet that she takes that time to try to pour into us and to keep us motivated. Because I know for myself, during the week, sometimes I'm like really hard pressed about checking in. I'm trying to get better, but it really is not. During the week, I get so tied up with my mom and everything else that sometimes I've got like tunnel vision just trying to get it done. But she does. She'll send a quick text. And those quick texts really mean a lot, because, again, that's time, that's thought, that's energy and intention. Or, I see friends who will post on little things in social media. It just really helps, just keep that positive cycle going. Find those pockets and really value those kind of moments, because those moments will help when it feels overwhelming. And if you can't find those moments, then create some of your own. Don't be relying on other people to always reach out. Sometimes you got to reach out too. And I do, because most of my friends were all working professionals and we're super busy. So I try to reach out as much as I can to people and check in, see how they're doing. Don't be afraid, because sometimes some of those conversations can just be what you need at that moment in time and you just didn't really know it. Somewhere you could just really get a good laugh or just a good cry, because maybe that's what you need. It's though, but you don't really get those moments unless you create them and cultivate them. So that's why I said sometimes you got to sit your butt down and let the opportunity arise for you to connect with people, and they in turn can maybe able to help connect with you and help you kind of chill out, balance it. Let's use all of our resources in these times. Let's connect with each other in ways that will help maybe inspire and motivate us. Cultivate the things that you are surrounding yourself with, because there's a lot of noise out there. Don't let noise be the only thing that feeds you. Make sure you're feeding yourself with some really good content, with some love, words that are positive, things that make you feel good, and just nurture yourself, because you have got this. You just have to make sure that you apply the grace and the accountability during this time to balance all of the crazy while you are on this journey. Don't give up. It's okay to be tired, but make sure you give yourself the time necessary to refuel and then get back in the fight. So that's what I wanted to talk about this week. I hope it inspired you to keep going. Believe me, I have been there. I'm feeling pretty good right now, but there have been days where I'm just like, ooh, okay, this is a lot. But we're going to get this done. So just know, like I said, we're in this together. So I really appreciate you guys. I love y'all so much. I'm really excited about some of the content that I have coming up, especially coming in February. It's going to be really good. It's going to be really good. I just want to thank you guys so much again for your continued support and encouragement. It just truly means the world to me. I'm going to make sure that I link a few episodes, the last episode, 92 and 91. I'll link them in the show notes. I'll also list out again some of these things that we kind of talked about today, just as a little bit of quick reminders to help you as you are on this journey. I want to thank y'all for your continued support, feedback, emails, reviews. Please review. I definitely want to go and I want to grow. Excuse me, not go. I do want to go. I want to travel, but that's a whole nother question, and we're not going to discuss that. But I do want to grow, and so I really value your insight. Any feedback that you can share with me that will help me on the journey is truly appreciated, especially as we are about to come up on year 2. February the 25th, y'all, it's my 49th birthday and our second year and anniversary. And I'm really excited. And I'll be singing It's My Podiversary. I just had to sing it because I just love singing that. But anywho, so that's in February. There's so much coming. But again, like I said, I want to thank you guys for the continued support. I promise to stop rambling now. All of my social information will be in the show notes. I want to thank you guys again for listening. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the weekend. Take care of yourselves and each other, and we will talk soon. Bye-bye.